A local bar is now shut down for operating without ABC permits. The investigation began after complaints from the community led to a search warrant and multiple arrests. Earlier this month, the property that used to operate as the Edge Lounge was searched by the ALE, Wilmington Police Department, and New Hanover County Sheriff's Office. The ALE says that law enforcement seized marijuana, drugs, non-tax paid liquor, several bottles of wine, malt beverages, and a gun. Thurston Powell, who was an employee, was charged with possessing alcohol for sale without ABC permits, and Sierra Winston was charged with possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia.